because they have exhaust systems in there. I guess they show it off each other.
Lamborghini, New Jersey. How much orange could you get? It's a little race. Oh, he's Italian. Must be his stripes, because that's the Italian flag. It's like, oh, he wants to get in front of that guy. I don't give a damn about you. Drive your noisy car.
Well, it's Friday, and end of the week. We got Memorial Day this Monday. So this week was mostly a washout. It rained like every single day. And the weather, you could still see it's extremely cloudy out here. But I'm just glad to end the week, and I'm glad to have a nice 3-day Memorial Day weekend. So as far as me, I'm waiting to hear from the gun store because they should have my BFR. They should have it soon. If not, they should already have it, but I don't know how long it takes to ship the stuff from where they order it. So as soon as I do get it, I'll be in the range making a video, just to show it. And just waiting for them to get it. Other than that, as far as the market was actually down this week because the United States debt has been downgraded. So, there's one lyric in front of me, and there's also a lyric behind me coming up on this side, right behind this Mercedes S-Class, with this old man with his nice S-Class. So, at any event, there's, what was I saying? The market was down because the reality is our debt has been downrated. So there were some stocks that were affected by that downrating of debt. Okay, good. He got away. So this other lyric can sneak up here. I'll let everybody go around me. I know they're going to be looking at me like, yo, what the hell is wrong with you? It's like, don't destroy each other trying to get past me, please. But because I'm doing the speed limit. I'm doing the state speed limit. 55. So anyway, our debt was downrated. Oh, it's a woman? Is that a woman or a man? I can't even tell. I don't want to misgender. I think I know that person because they got that green. All right, anyway. But what was I saying? Our debt was downrated. So some of the stocks actually suffered because of that downrating. And, there still are things that are happening, such as the Coca-Cola stock split. There's another split by a company named Fastenal, and it's 2 for 1. Right now, I think their shares are about $93 a share. I don't think I'm going to buy that because I don't see the point. But Coca-Cola is definitely a stock that is a long-term dividend holder. So it's like you put $2,000 or $3,000 in that, you don't have to worry about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has been doing pretty well as a company in general, so I'm not worried about them. But Coca-Cola, and then there's Fastenal. And for other people, if you're trying to build your portfolio, there's other companies that you buy and hold for a long time, such as Procter & Gamble. Their symbol is PG. Procter & Gamble, like they make toilet paper and stuff that people use every day. And then there's another one, the symbol is PH. So you got PG and you got PH. Off the top of my head, it's hard for me to, while I'm driving, it's hard for me to remember what PH stands for off the top of my head. It'll come back to me. But Procter & Gamble is always worth buying. So it's like you got Coca-Cola, you got Procter & Gamble, and then you got PH. I forget what the H is off the top of my head. I forget. But I'll get back to that later. But so you got PH, PG, FAST, F-A-S-T. That's another symbol. That's for Fastenal. And then you have obviously, but you definitely want to buy Coca-Cola. Definitely. Even Warren Buffett, he was big on Apple and Coca-Cola and everything. So even with him stepping back and selling everything, he's getting ready to live his final days on this earth just, it's like if I was that old and I had that much money, I have no idea what I would do with it, because it's like I'd be so old. It's like there's nothing to do, If I had that kind of money and I was that old, it's like, what would you really do with it? That's why, see, that's the problem. People want to spend their money when they're young, because when they're young, they can at least enjoy it. But when you're that old, it's like, what can you really buy? It's like, you can buy anything you want, but why? It doesn't even make sense. So basically, your family, you pour that money into your family, make sure, your kids get to have the money to go to the best colleges, the best universities, the best schools. I mean, when you got billions and billions of dollars, it's not about your kids just going to the best school. Shit, you could buy the fucking school. That's a hell of a lot of money to have. But this man is on his way out, just like Charlie Munger. This man is on his way out. He's a billionaire. He's super rich. He's a billionaire, but he's on his way out. So it's like, what do you do with that money? So I guess that's why, these philanthropists, they go out and, they look for worthy charities and everything. And I guess that makes the most sense, fund some charities, fund some churches maybe, help the homeless or something like that. Yeah, because if you had that kind of money, it's like you could buy a couple of, you could build a couple of, apartment buildings or something, or complexes. You could develop an area that hasn't been developed, and you could use it to help, people in need of low-income housing or something. Because after all, what are you going to do with it? But I don't know. I'm sure he'll figure it out. Because I tell you, if I was that age, I'd be doing all types of stuff. Like, I'd be trying every illegal drug that I never tried when I was younger. I'd be doing all types of fun stuff, like, life-risking activities like parachuting and, hang gliding and all that stuff. Because after all, you're 90 years old. What are you going to do? If anything happens, you'd be like, oh, well, at least he died doing what he enjoyed. Yeah, but I'm just glad traffic is moving decently. I had a very long day yesterday. I was up till like 11 o'clock. I had to go to this induction dinner. I was so tired, man. When I got into my bed, I got right into my bed. I didn't need any help going to sleep. Just went straight to sleep. But fortunately, we got this 3-day weekend. I like that. 3-day weekend. And yeah, so I can't wait till I get my BFR. I've got so much 38 caliber, 38 special. I got so much 357 and 38. I have to use some of it. It's just sitting there in boxes. I can use like an entire box or two. I think that shit was like $20 a box or something. It's just been sitting there, just waiting to get used. I might take my AR too, just to run some rounds through it. All right, well, looks like everything's progressing nicely. Yeah. But as for I guess I'll continue and end with this. As far as the news cycle, first of all, there was basically two people. I think they were connected to Israel, and they were killed. Somebody killed them. I forget what the guy's name was. And that happened, I think, yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday, but you know how the news is. It's like sometimes something will happen, but you don't hear about it until the next day. But I think that was yesterday. Then on top of that, you had the president of South Africa meet with Trump in the White House so that Trump could basically jump him with all of this conspiracy theorist, far-right, all this rhetoric about white South Afrikaner farmers getting killed or something on the farms. And basically both of those situations have the exact same thing in common. And, you know, when I'm online and I'm trolling and typing, I usually type like the same couple of things. One of the things I type is, there will be no peace on stolen land. That's number one. And you can take that how you want, but there will be no peace on stolen land. And number two, I used to love the show Babylon 5. And there was a speech that one of the characters gave that basically said that no people through force of arms will be oppressed forever. And one way or another, they're going to be free. And even if you got to suffer and you get taught a lesson, they're going to be free one way or another. And I've had that argument with people online before. Like, there were these auto reviewers, Jack Baruth and his brother, I think his brother's name was Bark Baruth. And I was arguing with the brother, Bark Baruth. And we were arguing about this South African thing like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, before COVID, definitely. And I was like, yo, listen, no matter what you say, that's their land. Like, I don't give a fuck if you came on, like, you see this shit right here that's all weeds? I don't give a shit if you came on to these people's land and developed it. You could make that shit go from sand to a land of milk and honey. That doesn't mean nothing. That's their land. So what they, you know, they try to run this bullshit with this fucking revisionist history. Oh yeah, well, oh the Afrikaners arrived there long before the Zulus. I'm like, what do you mean arrived there? Who the fuck you think you're talking to? You think you're talking to somebody stupid? Listen to that fucking nonsense. I just shut them down. I don't give a fuck what they got to say. It's bullshit. It's revisionist history. It's just like when I was a kid, they used to try to tell you the Native Americans traded America for like trinkets and stamps. It's like, no, they didn't. Get the fuck out of it. Stop lying. And then they always do that revisionist history shit. It's just like with slavery. When they start talking about slavery, well, don't forget, blacks owned slaves too. It's like, so wait a minute. What you're trying to do is use the bare minimum of something in order to overlook the maximum. It's like, get the fuck out of here. You take that fucking revision, and I get nasty. Like, I get really, really nasty, because, you know, people become keyboard gangsters. But see, the thing about it is I got the Desert Eagle, so I ain't even worried about that whole bullshit about you meeting somebody in real life. But it's like, no, it's like, man, I get real nasty when I start talking. Oh, like, yo, get that bullshit out of fucking revisionist history. The Native Americans didn't even believe that they owned the land. They didn't believe in owning land. They believed that the land was like sacred, and it was a mother and everything. You can't own your mother, you know. And it's like, come on, just stop. But you know what? If you have a powerful enough media platform, you can tell all the lies you want. And you could, not only you could tell those lies, you could perpetuate those lies. So imagine if you got like media, news corporations and shit that run this garbage all day long and keep repeating the same talking points. You can get people to believe just about anything you want them to believe, except me. You know, because you know, back in the 80s when I grew up, we actually did this thing called reading. We had encyclopedias. You know, now, like, when you look at some of these red states, they're trying to rewrite the goddamn history books, or they're trying to rewrite history. They're always trying to rewrite history. It's like, even with with these movies. I collect DVDs, and the reason why I love collecting DVDs is because there's nothing you can do to change them. And it's just like with the Star Wars saga and with a lot of those Disney movies. A lot of those Disney movies had a lot of sexist, misogynist, and racist shit in them. But you know what? I appreciated it for what it was. It was an art form. And the bottom line is, it's like, you can't change the media I have. So my books, any of my books that I have, any of my DVDs, you can't change none of that shit. And that's why you have to have the physical copy. Because these people are really, these are some revisionist history sons of bitches right here. They're trying to change shit and lie. And the problem is, you know, people get older and people forget their history, or they forget history in general. And the thing about it is, they start making shit up. And then they start asking, who the hell built that ugly ass house? Like the house is like green and shit. But anyway, yeah, they try to do that revisionist history, and they try to lie. And the thing about it is, if you take it at face value, nobody's going to challenge it because they don't have a means to challenge it. So it's just like even right now with Doom the Dark Ages. They're talking about, wait a minute, I bought a video game CD, but the majority of the game I have to download, and there's nothing on the CD except the CD is kind of like a ticket that allows me to download. And I'm like, wait a minute. I grew up when we would buy a video game and we got the full game. And now they want to make it so you don't even get the full game no more. They want to make it so that they control what information you get for the game. I'm like, I ain't down with that because y'all are some revisionist history scumbag liars. You're liars, and I don't trust nothing you say. And that's just how I feel about it. I'll be talking about that later because they're not going to stop talking about that. A lot of times you got to cut through these freaking side streets because traffic just sucks. So when you want to get to the Van Wyck, the Van Wyck and the Belt Parkway have been nightmares lately. But basically, save a couple of minutes. It's a faster way to get into the city, basically. But yeah, as I was saying, this lady. Yeah, as I was saying, it's like, they can keep that revisionist history. I'm not interested in any of it. But you know what's funny? Like, some people worry about the kids learning all this revisionist history. I'm not worried about the kids learning revisionist history because all of them are addicted to TikTok. They're not learning anything anyway. Like, they don't read. So because they don't read, they're not, like, you could do whatever you want to the history books. They're not going to use them. They're not paying any attention to any of that stuff at all. So, yeah, you might get a handful of them. But the majority of these kids, man, they're on TikTok getting propaganda. Like, they're not even just getting revisionist history. They're getting straight up propaganda. And most of it is based by the CCP because I have a government that's too stupid to simply get rid of TikTok. So because I have a government that's stupid and corrupt, they're not going to get rid of TikTok anytime soon. So I'm not worried about the kids being fed revisionist history. They're not learning anything anyway. It's not like when I was a kid. When I was a kid in school, you were forced to learn. That's the reason why it was easy for me to make money, get a good job, and be easy for me to like have the things that I want. Like, most of these kids are screwed. It's like they're not even going to be able to afford apartments. Like their parents can't afford apartments. The adults can't afford apartments because of the way this economy is at this point. So yeah, I'm more worried about them, not being able to afford a place to live, regardless how they work. But as far as the revisionist history goes, it's like, yeah, that dog don't hunt. But yeah, this whole thing with the South African president, he handled himself extremely well. But now it calls into question, after what Trump did to Zelensky, and by what I say what he did to Zelensky, they waited about 40 minutes into that meeting, and then they jumped his ass. And they said, you don't have a suit to wear and all this? And it's like, oh, yes, maybe if I have costume later, I put costume on. And it's like, y'all jump this guy. Y'all know that you're going to tell this guy you don't want to give him no more money. You know that you're going to tell this guy, we want to steal your resources. That's what we want from you. But y'all wait 40 minutes into this shit, and then you jump him. So with this South African president, they did the same exact thing. They invite him in, and then they wait a little while, and then they start showing him videos. Trump is basically showing videos of white Afrikaner farming. Like, he's up there showing him videos like it's Birth of a Nation. Like it's Woodrow Wilson showing racist videos of Birth of a Nation up in there. And you wait this amount of time, you show this guy this stuff. Trump has basically cut trade off with South Africa. And that's the reason why the South African president basically had to come here. Now, I've heard, and you can verify this, you can challenge it, whatever, but I've heard that the reason why they're bringing those South Afrikaners over here, and supposedly it was fewer than 60 of them that came over, I heard that what they're going to do is they're going to ultimately supplant black farmers that are here with South Afrikaners. So you could challenge that. I could care less. You could, maybe you could back it up. I don't know. But That's what I heard. I heard that they're bringing them people here so that they can supplant the black farmers out of here. And knowing Elon Musk, what he could do is he could just give them all a Tesla. He could give them a Tesla Cybertruck. So these people stole that land in South Africa. They used apartheid to make it so that you couldn't even fight to get the land because they set that up for themselves. So my thing is, listen, let them South Africans do exactly what they do. I ain't even worried about it. I care less because it ain't me. But the thing about it is, if they feel that it's worth fighting for, good for them. That's that. So you literally set this place up using apartheid to make it so that if I wanted to buy something, I couldn't even buy it because you made it so that there was segregation, and you made it so that I couldn't, even if I had the money, I couldn't challenge you to buy land. I'm like, listen, you get exactly what you deserve. There will be no peace on stolen land, ever. There will be no peace. That's how it is. So you can bring them all here, Trump. You could, if I were you, I'd bring the motherfuckers to someplace nobody wants to be, like South Dakota or North Dakota. I'd have the motherfuckers pumping oil if it was up to me. Bring them all here. Look at this. You got the Tesla Cybertruck right here. You got Elon Musk can give all them South Afrikaners, he can give them a Cybertruck because those things are not selling. Look at this. This is a Tesla Cybertruck with a refrigerator on it. I got to take a picture of that. Look at that. It's Mustafa driving that thing. Mustafa's got himself a Cybertruck. Oh, wow. So anyway, yeah, bring them all here. I could care less. Bring them all here. Bring them all. Give them all Cybertrucks. Give them Tesla Model Ys because nobody else is buying them. You've already alienated your core audience. They know you're a racist. You've alienated your core audience. Tesla sales are down. It's like, normally, I never would have thought of selling the shares that I hold in Tesla. But with what's happening right now, the vandalism, I was reading a report that a lot of people said that their Teslas are being vandalized. It's like I don't want to hold that. I don't want to hold the stock no more. So as soon as they pump that stock up, let's say it gets to about 5, if it hits 500, I'm selling. Like this, I'm out. I'm gonna sell that, and I'm gonna rotate that money into something else. But I don't know if it's a long shot even thinking it'll get that high. But what's interesting is there's been a recent surge in the Tesla stock, despite the fact that their sales are down, and despite the fact that there's an active boycott against Elon Musk. The Electric Viking is one of the channels on YouTube that hasn't been shut down yet for what they call false information. But the Electric Viking was explaining that in Europe, BYD, the Chinese electric vehicles, BYD, their sales are up like 356%, and Tesla's down. But that's because in Europe, they're actively boycotting Musk. Because a lot of those countries, they've had to, run against the far right so strongly until they have to come out publicly and condemn far right extremism and racism. They have to condemn that stuff. So when they are connected to Musk, a lot of them feel self-conscious. So they're like, oh, well, I don't want to be connected to Musk. Hey, that's a nice ST6. That looks good. I think that's a good looking one. It's all blacked out. But those tents are never going to pass inspection. That's a nice XT. And you know what? And that's another thing. Cadillac, they discontinued the XT6. They continued the XT5, but they discontinued the XT6. My thing is, if you would have updated, and this is exactly how Dodge fucked up, or I should say Dodge and Chrysler. What they did was they discontinued the Dodge Magnum, but what they didn't do was they never gave it the updated equipment. They never gave it the 8-speed transmission. They never gave it the Uconnect Touch. And then it's a failure. It's like, no, it wasn't a failure. You failed it. It was a good product, but you didn't upgrade it. If you have a product that people kind of like and you never upgrade it, of course it's going to fail. So what Cadillac is doing is they're getting rid of the XT6 because they're trying to make everything electric, right? So they got this new Vistic, they got the Lyric, they got the Optic. They also have the XT4 to match the Optic. They still sell the XT5, which is basically to match this. Lyric, and then they have the XT6, which is they're getting rid of, and they're replacing it basically with the Vistic. But I would argue a lot of them old people who are looking for a vehicle with 3 rows because maybe they have to carry around their elderly mother or they have to carry around kids. I would argue that they want a vehicle that's as nice as the Vistic, but the problem is they want it to have gas. A lot of people are not ready to go electric. Now, I would argue that Cadillac is doing better making electric vehicles probably than they were doing making gas vehicles, but there's still a lot of people who are not ready to go electric. And I totally understand why. You know, America spends all its money on war and Ukraine and Israel, and what we should be doing is spending our money building up our electric infrastructure. Look, there's a Fiscal Ocean right there. I've been seeing a lot of those on the road, but, you know, I can tell that's a taxi because it's got that sticker on it, and it's a TLC plate. But, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of those Fiscal Oceans around. Yeah, but it's just so crazy how crazy they got everything. But the bottom line is the Dow is still down. Until the Dow gets back to 45,000, I'm not giving Trump any credit whatsoever for what he's done to the stock market. His tariffs are a stupid idea. We're all going to end up paying more because the corporations are not going to eat it. Walmart came out and, because see, Jeff Bezos is a chicken and he's also a simp for wifing up single moms. But anyway, Jeff Bezos came out and tried to say, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to let everybody know exactly how much your tariffs are costing. That was a good idea. But then Trump screamed at him and Jeff Bezos backed down. Walmart came out and said, yeah, I'm going to let everybody know how much these tariffs are going to cost people. And, you know, the Trump administration tried to scream on Walmart, said, we don't give a fuck. We're going to let everybody know. So that's one of the reasons I love Walmart. Walmart don't back down from nobody. I like that. When people are willing to fight, when people are willing to war, I like that shit. So Walmart said, nah, we're going to let everybody know exactly how much these tariffs cost. Trump's administration said Walmart should eat the tariffs. And Walmart said, nah, we're going to let everybody know we're dedicated to bringing you low prices. But this is how much these tariffs are going to cost. The Trump tariffs, this is how much them is going to cost you. I like that. You don't back down from these people. You don't back down from anybody. It's war. You don't back down from nobody. Like the Coca-Cola truck with the Coca-Cola stock splits right over there. You got the Coca-Cola truck. Look at that. Coca-Cola. You want to make me some money. That's what I'm talking about. But, yeah, man, I want to see war. You got to fight these people. If you're not willing to fight, then you shouldn't be there. You got to be willing to fight. You got to have the Desert Eagle. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so there's Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot and Lowe's, those are good stocks to own too. But here we go with these goddamn speed cameras. So I'm on my way into the city, and it's a nice Friday morning, and I'll be out later, and then it's Memorial Day weekend. So I guess that's about it. I ain't got much else to talk about because I don't think anything else really happened in the news. That debt downgrade is a little disappointing, but it was going to happen. We're basically about to hit $37 trillion in debt. And they're also saying that every couple of months, the debt is going to hit another trillion. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You know, I remember when they were arguing over it being like in the 2021. Now it's 37, but okay. Yeah, it is what it is. This country is going to drown in debt. It's going to literally drown in debt. And I have nobody to thank but the Congress and the presidencies. I'm here to pick up my BFR.
Potential violent domestic extremists. It really talks about people who may likely turn out to be domestic violent extremists or those who may likely turn to violence because of these specific quote-unquote ideologies that they hold. And there's a consistent thread through here that these ideologies...
I guess I don't get one of those plastic Magnum research boxes with this?
Nope, unfortunately not.
Damn. I gotta find out if there's one that fits it.
You're the only person I can see. You're the only person I can see carrying it.
Well, I'm not carrying this. I mean, it's gonna, I'm gonna go to the range.
No, but
Jesus
I'm just,
Christ.
you know what I mean.
Yeah. And this is single action, I think, right? So you gotta do like a cowboy. You gotta hit the back each time.
Single or single level?
This has double?
You can do if you leave the hammer forward on the initial. I believe you can do double on the first, a single on the first, and double on every other one.
Wow.
Who's gonna mess with you?
Analogy of the test that I had to take to the law school entrance exam, and it's one of whether or not you can pass basic logic. It is all baseball players.
Let's go down there. We'll do that down there.
Okay. Here you go. Yeah, you see? So he just pulled in, and he's charging now. And my car is almost done. I just went into Target to get some water. So he's lucky because he got the fast charger, but it really doesn't matter anymore. I'm just glad they fixed the middle chargers. Okay, so it is May 23rd, and it is now evening. Right now I'm at the charging station, and I'm charging up my car. I'm going to take this chick out. We're going to go see Mission Impossible. And it was funny because for whatever reason, I didn't even realize that movie was coming out today, but it did. So we're going to go see Mission Impossible. I got to find out about the entity. I got to find out how he's going to stop the entity. But anyway, the Dow Jones was down today. And it really bothers me because, I like to think that I can give helpful stock advice, but there's no way I can give helpful stock advice when you got somebody like Trump just doing like any and everything and saying any and everything, and shit is having like ridiculous effects on the market. So anyway, the Dow Jones was down today. Why? Because Friday, Trump decides that what he's going to do is he's going to threaten new tariffs on freaking Europe. Now, I should go to Apple. He also had special words with, what is this guy's name? Tim Cook. And I believe Tim Cook, because the thing about it is Apple, I really don't believe they want the iPhone prices to go up. Now, Apple makes God knows how much profit off of every single iPhone they sell. I have no idea how much they make. But the bottom line is, I'm pretty sure they would rather reduce the amount of profit they make than to raise the price, because I believe Apple wants to make their phones competitive. And I believe that they want to make the phones especially competitive against all this Galaxy folding garbage from Samsung. I'm pretty sure Apple wants to make their phones competitive. They don't want the price to go up. They want to continue to give us pricing where it is. Now, I know it's not low, but I'm pretty sure they make a healthy profit off of every single sale. Now, I'll never know exactly what it is. Everybody can just speculate. You'll never know what it is unless they come out and tell you, which they won't. But the bottom line is Trump is saying, yeah, you better make those iPhones in America. And the bottom line is that I just don't see that happening. Now, Apple could prove me wrong, and they could say, oh, yeah, well, we're ready to make them in America. But Apple's plan was to take iPhone to India, to take it out of China and to take it into India. It was not their plan to take iPhones to America, because that's exactly the reason why America's so deep in fucking debt. These corporations have not been paying their fair share. These corporations have basically offshored all of our factory and our work. They've offshored it. They've taken it to Asia. Over time, Asians have gotten very good at doing this work. So at this point, you're at a situation where it doesn't even make sense to bring those factories back, because now you're dealing with a situation where you don't have small hands and you don't have the expertise needed to build these little products, because these things are small. Everything about them is small. They got micro screwdrivers, micro screws, and so forth and so on. So you want to have small people with small hands, and it just so happens that these little Asian girls, they know what to do with them little hands, if you know what I'm saying. They know what to do with those small hands. They know how to do it. So they're not bringing that back to America. Now, again, he could try to surprise me and say, hey, yeah, haha, you're wrong, and I'm bringing it back to America. But their plan was to bring iPhone manufacturing to India in response to Trump and the HFCAA going after China. But their plan was to go to India. So anyway, it says what does it say? Trump labels the EU difficult to deal with. Dollar is down, has weekly loss. Gold, yen, and government bonds gain on safe haven demand. Apple shares knocked by direct new tariff threat. So it says major stock indices and the dollar eased on Friday after U.S. President Trump unleashed his latest trade threats, recommending 50% tariffs on European Union imports from June 1st and considering a 25% tariff on Apple iPhone. Shares of Apple ended 3% lower, while the three major U.S. stock indices finished weaker, but off session lows. European shares also ended lower. The dollar index, which measures the greenback against a basket of currencies, hit a 3-week trough. For the week, the dollar was down 1.9%, on track for its biggest weekly percentage decline since early April. The dollar sank 1% versus the Japanese yen, while the euro rose 0.8% against the dollar. Government bonds in the United States and Europe climbed on safe haven buying after sustaining heavy pressure this week from rising concerns about Trump's tax cuts and the White House's ballooning debt pile. We're about to hit $37 trillion. I was looking at it earlier today. We are at, $36.8 trillion in debt. So anyway, it says this was the latest event in a jittery week for global markets after Moody's downgraded the U.S. credit rating. So this is what I was actually talking about earlier. Moody's cut America's pristine credit rating, citing rising debt. Now, this was going to happen anyway, because the problem is our national debt is way too high. To service the national debt, it is now costing like 1.6 I think it's 1.6 or 1.5. But basically, it's costing over $1 trillion to service the national debt. This is the reason why I say the Federal Reserve cannot lower or raise interest rates. If they lower interest rates, inflation will rise. If they raise interest rates, they won't be able to service the national debt. That's the problem. So they've caught themselves. They're stuck. It's a catch-22. You can't go up. You can't go down. At any event, it says Moody's downgraded the U.S. sovereign credit rating on Friday due to concerns about the nation's growing $36 trillion debt pile. They really should have just said 37 because it's almost 37, and there's no way it's not going to cross 37. We basically spend $50,000 every second. It says in a move that could complicate President Donald Trump's efforts to cut taxes and send ripples through global market, Moody's first gave the United States its pristine AAA rating in 1919 and is the last of the three major credit agencies to downgrade it. Friday's cut by one notch to AA1 follows a change in 2023 in the agency's outlook on the sovereign due to wider fiscal deficits and higher interest payments. So that's basically what I was talking about. So that's where we are. So there's no way around it. That's where we are right there. So our debt is rising, our credit ratings being cut, and on top of that, now you've got to worry about Trump tariffs. And you got to now. I think Apple will do everything they can to try to keep the iPhone price low, but at this point, nobody knows what's going to happen.
Don't worry about it, brother.
Yeah, I'm standing on that one. Yeah, so did she say next on the line next to me or next? Why is your line able to go and I can't? Yeah, I came from the left side. I was standing on that fucking line. Line? You want to borrow my glasses?
Fight for independence, the trouble.
I love wars in the dollar store. I just love it. Every now and then a war breaks out. This is the reason why I have to have iPhone 2 terabyte, because when I get that, I'll be able to record for so long, 10, 20 hours at a time. But they're saying that if Trump's tariffs go through, that Apple's going to have a 25% increase in price. And my thing is, I don't care what it costs. I just want it. I want that iPhone and I want it bad. My iPhone 14 needs to be upgraded at this point. I love wars. Like, here we go. She's still going. Some people just can't let her go. I love this.
So you just said next, so I came from line 3. I was next on line 3. You said next on line 3. No, it's all.
She's still going too. Yep. But I love it. I just love it. Oh, she's starting back up. She said, "This is why I shop online. I got time for this shit." She's starting right back up too. I love this. It's like whenever people start some shit, it's like I just step back, I take a decent position, and I just whip out that phone, boy. Just calm down, take everything in stride, just calm down, and just enjoy the day. No need to fight, no need to argue. Deciding whether or not to make an upload today. Today is May 26th, or to wait until tomorrow. So as you can see, my local store got my Magnum Research BFR in. So I'm going to take it to the range tomorrow, and perhaps tomorrow night I'll have a video up for it. If not tomorrow night, I can do it on Wednesday, but I'll probably have it up tomorrow night. No big deal. So the market this week was obviously down. The market was considerably down. It's actually a really, it's a big shame how much the market was actually down. Now, a couple of things have basically happened. Number one, the Supreme Court said that Trump has no power to fire anybody in the Federal Reserve. That's not a surprise to me because, as you know, I've been saying, it's like, yeah, Trump can't do nothing about the Federal Reserve. Jerome Powell is really the person in charge. Now, there were some people who wanted to buck back at me and, oh, yeah, that's Trump derangement syndrome. You can't say that. Goddamn fucking right I can say it. Jerome Powell is the one in charge. The Federal Reserve is the government within a government that we all feared would ultimately take over and cuff our children and all of that rhetoric you heard from Ron Paul and all that. I can't say he was wrong. I didn't realize how bad the Federal Reserve was until I actually started listening to the Libertarians long ago when Ron Paul was running. His son Rand Paul basically showed that, yeah, he can repeat Daddy's talking points, but the thing about it is Rand Paul is on the take, just like everybody else is on the take. So the reality is, I was like, oh, okay, so the Federal Reserve's bad. They control the interest rates. They're devaluing the money. So now, if you take a look at the U.S. national debt, as I keep pointing out, we've gone to $37 trillion, basically. So it hasn't officially hit $37 trillion, but basically it's right there. We spend about $50,000 every single second. But the reality is the Federal Reserve can't lower interest rates because if they do, inflation will creep up. And they can't raise interest rates either because if they did, they wouldn't be able to pay the interest on the national debt. So long story short, this week the Dow was down. And it was obviously down. So if you're looking at your portfolio, it was down. I could, look at the stocks again and tell you exactly how much down it was. But the bottom line is it was down. I keep saying it. When Trump came in, the Dow was at 45,000. So until it gets back to 45,000, I'm going to continue to say the Dow was down. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial today was Memorial Day, so the stock market was closed. Right now, the Dow Jones is at 41,603. The Nasdaq's at 18,737. The S&P 500 is at 5,802, and the Russell 2000 is at 2,039. Now, I don't pay attention to anything except the Dow because my portfolio is heavy on Dow stocks, specifically the Magnificent Seven, along with some other ones that I picked. My personal index is ManGoat. Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Google, oil and gas stocks, and then Amazon and Tesla. But I added more to that, credit cards, banks, et cetera, et cetera. So it appears that Trump's big, beautiful bill, it appears the Republicans themselves are lined up to put a stop to it. Now, we're going to find out, because it hasn't happened yet, but we're going to find out just who has a spine and who doesn't. Because they know that if Trump passes that bill, they understand that it's going to, well, we're looking at 37 trillion right now. Within the net, by the time it's Christmas, it'll be 40 trillion. Because they're saying with over the next couple of months that we'll see this thing go, we'll see the national debt go up $1 trillion every couple of months. Now, at the point that it is now, we're seeing the national debt go up $1 trillion every like 4 or 5 months. But they're saying that by the time it's December, we could see $40 trillion of debt. So they're saying, yeah, as the Senate prepares to consider the sprawling domestic package that House Republicans passed last week, Senator Ron Johnson, Republican, Wisconsin, says he thinks there are enough Republicans to stop the process in order to prioritize stronger reductions in spending and the national deficit. The Wisconsin Republican had criticized the bill's impact on the deficit, characterizing outside spending as mortgaging our children's future. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the bill would add $2.3 trillion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years. Johnson said in an interview on CNN's State of the Union that congressional Republicans should examine spending line by line, like Doge has done, to find areas to eliminate. Okay, so yeah, you can read all of this yourself, but the bottom line is, it's not just the Democrats who are against Trump now. It's the Republicans who are against Trump because they know that this bill is bad news for their constituents. You see, the thing that I always count on is for people to watch their own pockets and to look out for their own interests. And I'll say it just like it is, and I know some people don't want to hear it. I've lived in China. I've stayed in Japan. I've been in most of these Asian countries, right? And the reality is, they look out for their people. They do as much as they can. Japan and South Korea specifically, and China. Japan, South Korea, and China specifically. They do everything they can to look out for their people. I'll even add Thailand to that. Thailand does what it can to look out for its people. America will not do that. America has mortgaged our future away. We've sent our factories over to Asia. They produce basically 100% of the shit that we use on a daily basis. Our kids here have no jobs, and even if they brought those factories back, which they're not, those kids, our kids, would never want to work a factory job. After all, most of these parents are content trying to send their kids to college so that they'll have a degree that they can brag about. Oh yeah, my kid went to UCLA. My kid went to Harvard. My kid went to Yale. My kid went to this state university. The parents are the ones that are ultimately pushing these kids into student loan debt. But now we have a problem where the student loan debts are due. So now I'm looking at these YouTube channels and I'm seeing everybody talking about how you're about to get garnished if you don't pay them student loans. So they're saying after, I think it's 90 days, they can report you to the credit bureau if you haven't paid them loans or if you haven't been paying on them. At least I think they want you to hit the interest and the principal. But then they're saying, I think it's after a couple of consecutive months of non-payment, they're talking about garnishing you. So some of these people are waking up and they're seeing their tax returns getting slapped. So they're what they thought they were going to get on their tax return, they're not getting because they got student loans. And maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be, because the reality is, if you sign a promissory note, you signed it just the way I did. When I took out money, I understood reading that promissory note, because I'm not like some people where you just point and click. I read that shit. It said, guess what? When you graduate, you owe this money back and you have to make payments and installments. Now, when I was in school, it was slightly different because the interest rates were lower. Now, the federal government tried to hit me with a 6.875% interest rate. And that was back in 2015. And I had vowed, I was like, you know what? I'll get another job. I'll do YouTube. I'll do opinionshopping.com. I'll write journals. I'll do everything I can to pay those debts down. And that's exactly what I did. So the long story short is you signed up for them loans. You owe that money. You're going to pay it back. It's not even an argument about whether or not you're going to pay it back. You're going to pay it back. The question is, how much is it going to cost you? The faster you pay it back, the less it'll cost you in interest. The longer it takes you to pay it back, the more you're going to pay in interest. So the payment is not a question. You're going to pay it back. When George W. Bush, George W. Bush, when George W. Bush, the son, when he was in office, I specifically remember when he changed those bankruptcy laws. They knew that this shit was coming with the housing market. They knew this was coming. So what they do, they say, yeah, we're going to make it so you can't file bankruptcy no more. I remember when the last day to file bankruptcy was, where you could file it and you could actually get away with it and not have to pay back. George W. Bush administration ran that shit. They said, no. From now on, you can't discharge this money that you owe. They got you. The Republican George W. Bush, under his administration, right before the 2008 mortgage crisis, they got you. So I understand that Democrats ain't shit, but Republicans ain't shit either. And maybe that's just how it's supposed to be. Maybe it's time to tell you no when you come in trying to get a loan for some shit you can't afford. Maybe all you independent women, when you walk into that BMW, that Mercedes dealership, they say, no, you can't afford this. Get out. And they say, go to Hyundai, go to Kia, go to Toyota, go to Honda. Maybe it's that time. Maybe it's just that time. Maybe it's time for you to sacrifice. Maybe it's time for those of you who are trying to buy these shitty, boring, stupid cars like these Subaru WRXs and these fart can mufflers and shit on Toyota Camrys, and I got to listen to this horrible noise coming out of these Infinities. Maybe it's time they tell you no. Maybe. Oh, excuse me, sir. We don't need your business here. It is subprime. We don't do subprime. You can go across the street to the used car dealerships. Yes, the certified pre-owned. We don't need your business here. No, sir. We only deal with prime borrowers. Yes, that's right. We only deal with prime borrowers. Maybe it's time they tell you no. Now, with houses, it's not even an option. They're telling you no because chances are, especially single women, chances are you ain't making $10,000 a month after taxes. Chances are. So, yeah, they're telling you no. Oh, well, yes, this house right here, it's $600,000, and we're accepting offers, and the highest offer so far is $700,000. Well, yeah, they're telling you no. Inventory is low. And most of you can't afford the shit anyway. So, yeah, I think maybe it's time for that. Long story short, even the rentals, even the apartments, you might not be able to find the apartment you want because you've been spending frivolously and now you have no money left. Maybe it's time they tell you no. When I was a kid, I heard no all my life. And I realized, I was like, wait a minute. These motherfuckers are going to tell me no, then I have to make enough money where I can say, fuck you, I'm going to do it anyway. And that's just what it had to be. So I have an 850 credit score. When I walk into the bank, I can walk into the bank naked and say, hey, get them papers. I need something. Get them papers. And there's nothing they can say. And that's how it has to be. They can't tell me no because, oh, shit, he's got the credit score. Oh, my God, I guess we're going to have to do it. And there's nothing they can do about it. I like that. So there's some people who are rolling around here with goddamn Nissan Altimas and freaking Infiniti QX whatevers. And the thing about it is, it's like they're barely making these car notes. And then on top of that, the insurance company, I trust the insurance companies and I trust the credit score agencies to tell you no if you don't, or if you don't, not just if you don't deserve, but if you can't afford something. They're doing their due diligence. They're doing their fiduciary responsibility. The rest of these people are not. These people who are selling you these marked up fucking cars and these people who are suckering you into mortgages that you can't afford, I don't trust them. I trust the underwriters, but I don't trust them. I don't trust the salesmen. And the salesmen will lie just to get these papers past the underwriters. So long story short, it's like maybe it's time that we had the recession that we should have had a long time ago. Maybe it's time that people learn how to sacrifice. And I know nobody wants to hear that. I know nobody wants to quote unquote tighten their belt. But at this point, you ain't got a choice. So you're going to have to. It's just that simple. So Senator Ron Johnson is trying to tell Trump, no, we can't afford that. We can't run up our national debt to $40 trillion. If our national debt hits $40 trillion, we're going to be a laughing stock. It's bad enough it's a $37 trillion. If we hit 40 trillion. If we hit 40 trillion, we're going to be a laughing stock. We're basically bankrupt. We're going to be a laughing stock. And that, it affects me, so I don't want it to happen. I really don't want that to happen. So yeah, maybe it's time we tell the Defense Department no. Maybe it's time we told some of these people for some of these tax cuts. Maybe it's time we told no. And I know nobody wants to hear it, but I don't care about your feelings. I care about fiscal responsibility. And a lot of people, they don't care about efficiency. They don't care about fiscal responsibility. They don't care about fiduciary responsibility. They don't care about any of that. I'm just saying no. And I like that. I like it. I really do. So that's where we are right there with Trump. And we'll see what happens this week, because it looks like they're about to vote that shit no. And if they do, I know there'll be a lot of Trump supporters. There'll be a lot of people talking shit. If the Republicans shoot this down, this is like, how should I say? This is like firing a signal flare for the Democrats to say, you know what? It's time to fight back. And they're going to do it. They got the votes to say no. But the Democrats are already not going to support it. So if the Democrats don't support it, the Republicans join in and don't support it, they'll be putting the brakes on the runaway train, which is Trump. When I'm looking at these stocks and I'm looking at how this idiot is basically telling Apple that I'm going to try to impose 25% tariffs on you, what he's basically trying to do is ruin Apple's profit margin. I don't even think the presidency has that ability to do that on a single company. Because if you did that on one company, that's unconstitutional. You can't go after one company. But these Republicans, you know what? I think they're finally starting to get a spine. I think they're finally starting to wake the fuck up. And I think they're finally understanding. It's like, wait a minute. We have to put the brakes on this guy, because otherwise he's going to ruin our economy. Because listen, the bottom line is those factory jobs that y'all want to dream about, it's not coming back. There'd be nobody to work them. Your kids ain't doing it. We're throwing out illegal aliens. They're not going to do it. There's nobody to work those jobs. Not only that, but with these federal minimum wage laws, you'd have to pay these people. Like, if I can pay somebody in China $3 a day or $5 a day or whatever it is to put them iPhones together, they damn sure don't want to pay nobody $15 a day. You're ruining my profit margin. I'm trying to be a $5 trillion company. Right now I got $3 trillion. I'm trying to be $5 trillion. You're ruining my goddamn profit margins. They're going to put the brakes on this dude. I can see it. Last Trump presidency, last time, Apple ran the clock out on Trump's presidency. This time, Trump is after him because he knows that they'll do that again. They ran the clock out on his presidency just like Vladimir Putin ran the clock out on the Biden presidency. Some of these people understand time, and they understand timing, and they understand chess, and they understand it's like you don't necessarily have to checkmate your opponent. If you run their clock out, they lose, and you win even if you didn't make the best moves. And they understand that. I understand that. And I see what they're doing, and Trump is trying to get ahead of them, but it's not going to work. Apple intended to bring manufacturing from China to India. They had no intentions of bringing it back to America at all. How Tim Cook navigates this situation, I have no idea. I have no idea what Tim Cook is going to do. I have no idea what Tim Cook has to do. But he's going to figure it out, because I have to imagine that he's smarter than me. But that's just where it is. So the housing market is still a mess. Gas prices are still high. The Ukraine war is still going. If day one, I'm going to have the Ukraine war done in day one. What happened to that? What was it with Gaza? Oh, yeah, we're going to turn Gaza into Dubai. We're going to make Gaza a casino. We're going to make Gaza a casino. It's going to be a casino. It's going to be beachfront property and casinos. We're going to turn it into Gaza. We're going to turn it into Gaza, Trump, Gaza. That hasn't happened. I don't see that happening ever. I think, yeah, you can turn it into casinos, but you'll be facing suicide bombings like every other week. I don't think that's going to work. But anyway, long story short, this was Memorial Day. I had a pretty good day. The market is still down. My bottom line is, especially if you are doing any investment whatsoever, they've tried to make Bitcoin a shiny investment opportunity. As far as I'm concerned, that shit is still gambling. It's up to you where you put your money. But the bottom line is, I'm getting dividend paying stocks, just like Warren Buffett did. Keep in mind, today is the 26th. That means tomorrow you will see the Coca-Cola stock split. Right now, Coke is at, let's see, Coke is at $1,143. So it's roughly unchanged most of this week. I don't know if it's going to go down, but it looks like after hours it was down 56 cents. It's at $1,142. The Coke stock split is happening tomorrow. I think at the end of the day when the bell closes, you should see your 10 shares for every 1 share because it's a 10-for-1 stock split. Coca-Cola has slow growth upwards. However, it's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is going to be around longer than any of us are going to be alive. In fact, because Coke sodas and their products basically are addictive and cause diabetes, chances are it might be what kills half of us. But the bottom line is they'll still be here when we're dead. That's the bottom line. So Coca-Cola, I'm looking at Charles Schwab's equity ratings right now. They give Coca-Cola an A. Coca-Cola gets an A. Now, I look at the rest of my portfolio, and strangely enough, the only positions that I have that get an F is basically, if I look by the ratings, the only thing I have that gets an F are 4 companies: Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. Those get Fs. There was one other, but that one probably doesn't really matter to you. Fisker's bankrupt, so they're gone. But yeah, Tesla gets an F. Now, Tesla, they've been trying to pump the stock. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're pumping the stock despite the fact that sales have been reduced, seriously reduced. Right now, it's at $339. I don't foresee it going much higher, but if they somehow figure out a way to pump that shit up to like $500, I'm selling. Because Elon Musk has been recognized as a racist South Africaner, just like those other South Afrikaners that they're trying to bring over here. And God knows what they're going to do with them, because they're going to put them on welfare. So, I don't know how that's going to work out. But the bottom line is, Elon Musk, the brand has suffered irreparable damage. They're not going to be able to repair the damage that Musk has done to that brand. Long story short, I think Tesla needs to dump Musk as soon as possible, and they need to put a new face on Tesla. But the bottom line is, Elon Musk, the brand is not cool anymore. People are attacking people's cars and hating on people and shit because they got Teslas, and that's unfair and it's unconstitutional. But the bottom line is, most of these people don't give a shit, and they'll just do it anyway. And I think it's wrong, but the bottom line is they do it. So, it is what it is. So the bottom line is, they need to dump this dude, and they need to get a new CEO. They need to take the stink, because something smells musky in here. They need to take the stink of Musk off of that brand in order to pop this stock. Because right now, I'm looking at my holdings right now for Tesla. If they could push this shit to 500, or, if they could get this to 500, I'm selling. I'm out. I'm gone, If they push this shit to 500, that would be fantastic. And it might go higher than that, but you know what? At this point, I'm tired of being on the roller coaster. I've been on this roller coaster since 2012. I'm ready to get the fuck I'm ready to get up off it. I will rotate that money into credit cards. I'll rotate that money into something else. It's just like even the dividends that I got this quarter. That money, I poured into my Magnum Research BFR. That was $1,500. Now, you just think about it. I'm getting dividends to the point where I can go out and I can just buy toys. Or I can spend it on a vacation. Yeah, it's like I was looking at my credit card statement. I've got rewards. I've got $1,500 worth of rewards travel points right now. Now, I was saving it till I get to $2,000, and then that's when I was going to book the trip to Bora Bora. But right now, it looks like I have to spend another $50,000 worth of whatever in order to get enough points to be at $2,000 worth of rewards points. But that's what Biden and Kamala, they were trying to get rid of credit card rewards because they called it an untaxed kickback. I don't give a shit what they call it. I work for that shit. It's mine. So the bottom line is, if I want to take that money, I want to buy fucking rifles. I want to buy vacations. It doesn't matter because that's none of your business. You know, you should focus on your prostate cancer. And that's the other thing that came out this week. That's probably where I'll end. Biden came out and finally said, I got prostate cancer. Now, if the Democrats had brains whatsoever, or if these people understood how to play chess, Biden should have stepped down in January 2024 and let Kamala simply be president for the rest of the year. That might have changed the outcome of the November election, but he didn't. Sotomayor should have stepped down when they found out that she got diabetes so Biden could pick a new Supreme Court justice. She didn't. Ruth Bader Ginsburg should have stepped down when Obama was in office so he could have picked somebody else to replace her. They didn't. These people are so determined to hold on to their own power. They don't think about the long term, and they don't think like a chess player. See, Scalia, you know, depends upon what you believe, conspiracy theories. Scalia may have been choked by a pillow. I don't know. Bottom line is, they say, you know what, Scalia, it's time for you to get up out of here. And sure enough, they got him up out of here. Now, I'm not going to say how because, you know, that's conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, his pillow had slobber on it, and they got him up out of here. That's the long story short. But the thing about it is, these people do not know how to play chess. These people only think about their own power and their own money and their own pockets. They don't think about the bigger picture. And that's the reason why we are where we are. So I'm just waiting to see with this Senator Ron Johnson. I'm waiting to see what he's going to do this week. I hope everybody is sitting back waiting to see what he's going to do this week, because the thing about it is they need to stop this big, beautiful bullshit. They need to stop it before Trump throws up this national debt to a point where we're unsustainable, to the point where, you know, everything just falls apart. And they also need to put a stop to his stupid tariffs so that this way we can let the stock market come back. The mere fact that you see the market rising and falling by 1,000 points or 300 points at a time, that tells you we've got market instability, we've got too much inconsistency, there's too much volatility, and that's only because of Trump. So, Ron Johnson, you do your thing. I'm going to be watching. And today's Monday, and I'll follow up on Friday, and we'll see what happens.
Donald Trump just changed the U.S. divorce law, the end of the 50-50 asset split for divorced couples. Since the beginning of his term, Donald Trump has implemented drastic reforms. One of the most controversial changes he is considering concerns divorce laws, which he believes are unfair to men in the country. Trump has stated that he wants to revise the current legislation, arguing that it allows women to become wealthy after a divorce simply because they married a rich man. Just because you married a wealthy man doesn't mean you should walk away with half of his fortune and become a rich woman after the divorce, Trump declared. The president believes that divorces in the United States have turned into a profitable business for women, and it's time to put an end to it. According to his new proposal, if a woman needs financial support after a divorce, her ex-husband will be allowed to lend her up to $100,000, as long as she can prove she genuinely needs it. For Trump, this sum may seem insignificant for a wealthy man, but it should be enough for his ex-wife, since she did not earn that money herself. If I have a fortune of $50 million, I'm not going to give away $25 million after a divorce, he insisted. It's my money, I worked hard for it. It doesn't matter if we were married for 6 years or 25, or even if we have kids. If the woman can't afford to raise them, she should leave them with me, he added. He also emphasized that marrying a successful person should not mean automatically gaining access to a large portion of their wealth after a breakup. These statements have sparked intense national debate between family law attorneys and women's rights groups. What do you think about it?
To be continued.